Yeah, both sides are dramatically far apart, and the Iranians' 10-point plan is what they've been demanding from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that the English language version that they've distributed, that CNN and others have blindly put forward, leaves out the nuclear enrichment. The Farsi version includes the point about them keeping their nuclear enrichment. So they can't even keep their own story straight. President Trump has not agreed to that. There are numerous items that he will absolutely not agree to. And I think they're probably going to be closer to the 15-point U.S. plan down the road than they are going to be to the 10-point Iranian plan that they're claiming Trump has accepted, which he has not. As to the Chinese, I think President Trump has had an eye on the Chinese from the beginning. One of the reasons that Karg Island has not been obliterated is because that is the main engine of oil revenue transport from Iran. 90% of their oil revenues go through there, and a huge amount of that goes to China. So President Trump has made it very careful not to hurt that composite of opportunity that would hurt China and maybe get them more actively involved. So I have no doubt that President Trump and the administration have been actively either keeping an eye on or in backroom negotiations with China from the beginning.
But in this case, if both positions are still maximalist and Trump believes the uranium will be perfectly taken care of, that means America does not want Iran to enrich uranium. Iran is wanting to enrich uranium, Steve Gill. So if the positions are still maximalist, how did the ceasefire happen?
Well, I think that President Trump wants this, flow of oil to continue. And again, I think the Chinese intervention there, because their economy is desperate for the flow of oil. As you mentioned, Venezuela is not making the oil available to them. President Trump has released some of the sanctions on Russia to allow some of their oil to flow into the world market. And although the U.S. has an abundance of oil, oil is a commodity. There's not Texas oil and Saudi oil and Venezuelan oil. The pricing is all going to be connected. And I think that President Trump wanted to give some global relief and provide an opportunity for the reasonable voices in Iran to have a chance to sit at a table and speak. I don't think we have a deal. I don't think we're close. But talking beats shooting at each other. And if we can get a temporary respite and find out if there is anybody in Iran who can speak for Iran and anybody in Iran who speaks who can implement whatever deal comes to, and I think those are both still very big issues. Who can we speak to? Because we've killed 500 of the top leaders. And whoever we speak to, can they actually get their country to do what they agree to do?
Right. There is a lot of confusion about who's calling the shots within the U.S. WAPO has just now put out a story where they say Pete Hegseth actually misled President Trump. There are others who are saying that the Republicans themselves, within the Republican ranks, there was huge dissonance about Trump's decisions. President Trump's ratings have come to perhaps his lowest in the last 2 terms till now. Oil prices are at the highest. Steve Gill, what is true? What's happening? And President Trump claims military objectives have been met. If military objectives have been met, then why is he saying that he's still not taken care of the uranium? He still doesn't know where the uranium is. Wasn't that one of the military objectives? Iran is still firing ballistic missiles. Wasn't that one of the military objectives?
Well, the number of ballistic missiles being fired has dropped from about 350 a day to 3 or 4 a day. That's taken out a lot of their launchers and their ballistic missiles and their ability to develop and build more of them. As to the uranium, much of it is now buried under hundreds of pounds of rock and rubble. The ability to pull it out and enrich it further, and the scientists who were doing that, the facilities they were using to enrich the uranium have essentially been obliterated. So I think those 2 objectives have been achieved. The problem, again, is how do you move forward if you don't know who to talk to and if the people you're talking to can actually get something done? And oil prices, gas prices in the U.S. are not at the highest level that they've ever been. They were higher under Joe Biden just a year and a half ago. I paid $3.64 a gallon here in Nashville yesterday. So the prices are not as high as they've been. And I think we've already seen the oil prices drop $15 a barrel just since this pause has been announced. So I think things will head in the right direction. And if an agreement can be reached to open the Straits of Hormuz, and keep in mind, the Straits are international water. Iran doesn't have the capacity. Oman and the UAE and Saudi also say, look, though that strait is international water, nobody gets to charge a fee for going through it.
Tara Kartaji, quickly want to ask, and even Siddhant is with us. Siddhant, since we're talking about Pakistan and Shehbaz Sharif, was the Pak Prime Minister's X handle being managed by someone outside of Pakistan? Because it's a very interesting story that Forbes has done.
Yeah.
That this entire draft was shared, it was updated a minute before the final version was posted.
Yeah.
And it said draft Pak PM's message on X. That's what it said.
Yeah. No, there's nothing new in this, Anand. In fact, we know that he is a puppet prime minister. Perhaps Asim Munir is the man who is calling the shots here, and we don't know where that message came from. Whether it came directly from CENTCOM for Shehbaz Sharif to put out that post, whether that message came from GHQ in Pindi for Shehbaz Sharif to put out. Perhaps we don't know, but all we know is that Shehbaz Sharif's team, Shehbaz Sharif himself, doesn't draft their tweets, their posts. They don't frame those messages which they put out on X. It is somebody else which is doing this service on their behalf, or rather sending them what needs to be posted. And perhaps today also this was again proven when the ceasefire was announced by President Trump. There were a series of posts by Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, and in fact, in one of the posts he also posted a message which says that it's a draft message. Then he had to delete that message.